Hello there. In this video series we are going to solve questions using Python. So these questions will get you to understand Python more, get you to practice more. So let's start with our first video here. In this video we will be solving questions that would test our understanding of value types, variables and operators. So let's start with the first question here. The question says, assume that we execute the following assignment statements. So here we say x equals f, so x is f, and y is 6.0, and z is a string, which is a dot. So let's keep reading the question. For each of the following expressions, these ones here down below, write the value of that expression and type of that value. Okay, whatever, yeah. Okay, so we have some expressions here. Let me uncomment them all. So we have some expressions here, and we need to tell the result of these expressions and the type of that result. So let's look at the first one at first. So the first one is print x times 5. So so what is x here? X is defined already above, which is 5. So that's basically 5 times 5. So this gives us 25, and this value, so this is the result, the value of 5 times 5, or the value of this expression, and the type of that result is int, which is integer, but you just write int. So this one is x divided by 2. So this will give us what? This gives us 2.5. Why? Do you know why? There's a difference, by the way, between when you have two division operators here. When you have two, that means the result will be float. But if you have no, sorry, the opposite. So when you have one, you get a float result. But when you have two, you get an int result. So how many twos in a 5? We have 2 twos in a 5. So, and that's also integer. Let's continue with this one. So this one is x divided by 2. That's 5 divided by 2. We said that if we have one division operator, the result is a float. So that this should be 2.5, and the type is float. And for this one, we have z times 4. Z is a dot, and 4 is an integer. So what we get here is dot 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 dot, 4 dots, and the type is a string, of course. So we just try to. Let's keep going. This one, z plus 1. Z is a dot plus 1 plus y. Y is 6.0. So what we get here is we don't get a value because this is not allowed in Python. You cannot add a dot and a float in Python. So what you get from here is an error. And so let's keep going. For this one, the x times y, x is 5, y is 6.0. So what we get here is 30.0. The result is a float because one of the operands here is a float, which is this one here. That's float, so we get float. So that's a float. X plus y, that's 5 plus 6.0. Again, we have a float operand here, so the result should be a float. So we have 11 here, and let's do this one. Okay, this one is z, which is a dot, and times y 6.0. Right, this one is not allowed as well. You cannot multiply a dot or a string by a float. So this is error. Let's do this one. So this one is well, wait, this is the same thing basically, yeah. So let's forget about this one. We need to run the program and make sure that we get the result we expect here. So let me first, the ones that will give us errors, we need to comment these ones first. So I'll comment these two and run the program now. So yeah, we get 25, 2, see here, 2.5, we get 30.0, we get the 4 dots, and we get 11. And if I comment these ones now and uncomment the ones that give us errors and run the program, we get an error. It says can only concatenate string to string, not string and a float. So yeah, I'll comment these. So we're done with this question. By the way, if you need to get, or if you want to get the type of any value, what you need to try is this type. So if we say x times 5, so we said the value is 25 and the type is int. So to make sure, if we run this, yes, 25, and it is an int. Yes, so let me comment these, I'll delete this. And let's continue with the second question. So the second question says, figure out the errors in the below lines and try to fix them. Okay, so these lines of code here have problems. So if we run this now, let me uncomment them. If we run them, we get errors. So the syntax is not correct. We need to fix these lines. So let's do them one by one. I'll comment these. Let's do the first one. Print type hello world. So hello world here should be a string because we're printing a string. So hello and world, it's not. These both are not variables. That's not a variable that we're putting there to print. So we need to comment to put a quotation mark here to tell Python that this is a string. So if we print this now, we get a correct output. String. So if we print it now, we get a string, the type of hello world. Let's go, and when we execute it, we get class string here, as you see. So let's go with the second one. Okay, that's print a plus 5. So here a is not a defined variable. So if we run this program, the error is a is not defined. So we need to define a first. So one way to fix this line of code is to define a as the following. You give it a value. Let's give it 5. So what we expect is 10, and when we run the program, we get 10. Yes. So I'll comment this. The third one. We are adding a string and an integer, which is not allowed. So we need to convert this 5 here, which is an integer, to a string 5, and we get the result here, which is hello 5. Let's do the last one here. So hi, what is hi here? We don't know what hi is. high is not defined. High is not a variable that contains a value. So to fix this one here, we can do it in two ways. We can convert this high into a string, which is fine. So now we get this output. So you can also say that high is a variable that is a string of high. So if you do that, that's also correct, and you get the same result. Right, let's keep solving more questions. That's question 3. For each of the following expressions, write the value of the expression. Okay, this question, the purpose of this question is to make sure you understand the property of the operators. So there's a rule, you know, that the rule is PEMDAS, I think. P is for parentheses, X is for exponentiation, M for multiplication and division, A for addition, S for subtraction. So you start first by doing the parentheses, then so first you go with the parentheses, then you go with P, then exponentiation, then multiplication and addition, then multiplication and division, then the fourth one is addition and subtraction. So we're gonna follow these rules here, or this rule here. So let's do the first one. So here we have addition, and we have multiplication and division. So we start with multiplication and division because they come before the addition. And to do the multiplication and division, they are at the same level of priority. So we go from left to right. So the one on the left is multiplication. So we start with this one. So 20 times 30. That's what we do first. 20 times 30. Then, so the value we get from here, which is 600, we will divide this value by 10, because what we have after calculating this is the following. We have 10 plus 600 divided by 10. So to go from here, we also look at the operators we have. We have addition and division. So we go with this one, 600 divided by 10. So we have, the result is 60, or let's have 10 plus 60. Then we will end up with 70. So that's the correct result. So if you do it with another order, you wouldn't get the right result. So let's run this and see if we get the correct answer. Yes, we got 70, and yes, it should be float, because we used the division operator. So this here should be a float. And let's do the second one. So this one, we have parentheses here. We should do this first. So that's 30, right, times, right, after doing this parentheses, we have 30 times 30 divided by 10. So now we have multiplication and division. So we go from left to right. So 30 times 30, that's 900. And we divide this by 10, which is 90. And this one also should be a float because we used the division operator here. So let me run this now. Right. Yes, 90. Okay, so we're done with this question. And here we go with our last question for this video. That's question 4, and it says for the following expressions which assignment give error. So we have some variables here that we assign values to, and some of these definitions are not correct because there are some rules for defining variables. So the name of the variable should be it should contain only three things: letters, underscores, and digits. But there's one more rule, which is they cannot start with a digit. So let's look at this one. This one looks fine. The name of the variable is just a letter, which is fine. If you look at the second one, this one is also fine, just a letter here, but the value here changed. We assigned 12, which is an integer, to A. We assigned 15, which is a string, to A. And for the third one, this one is not fine because this quotation mark here is not allowed as a name. We're not allowed to contain it in the name of the variable. As we said, only letters, underscores, and digits. So this one is not fine, and if we run it, we get an error. This one gives us an error, and this one is also not fine because it violates the second rule here, which is they cannot start with a digit. So this one is not fine as well. This one seems to be fine, but B is not defined here. We don't know what B is, so we should define B first for this to work. So right now this would give us an error actually. So we need to define B first to fix this line, but this question does not ask us to fix any of the code, so we're gonna leave it like this. And the last one seems to be fine. Yeah, this B is a string. It's not a variable, which should be defined just a string, which is fine. So yes, that was our last question, and we are done with this video. And the next video we are going to solve more questions. The questions will get harder each time, and yeah, so I think we're going to have like 14 videos or something like that. So after variables and values and types, we're gonna see functions, if statements, for loops, lists, dictionaries, classes, and everything. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.